We're
Hello,
ready to
friends.
rock.
Hello, friends. Here we are with another episode of The Art of Mortgage Marketing with our dear friend, Doren Aldana. I'm Penny Wrightley, and we are both very blessed that we're having you here today to join us.
Absolutely. I'm excited. It's Thanksgiving in the US of A. Of course, we're Canadians, so we're advanced like that. We already did our turkey lurkey a whole month ago. You guys are delayed. Come on now. We got to our turkey a long time ago. So, such is the blessing of being Canadian, right? We're advanced like that. So, we get to do this Thanksgiving, gift giving, gratitude expanding, profit expanding session with our beautiful souls, both on the south of the border and the north of the border, depending on how badass you are. Like if you're tuning into this live and you are south of the border, you're a special kind of awesome because you're supposed to be hanging out with your family. You're supposed to be dialing in to connect with the beautiful souls you love most. But for some crazy reason, you're with us. So I'm wondering about that. You might have a few screws loose, but we're happy you're here. And certainly our fellow Canadians, we're happy you're here too. So excited to dive in with you today, Penny.
Absolutely. Today, I think we're going to have a little bit of fun because we're going to kind of change it up a little bit and do something fun. We're going to have a little bit of a fireside chat today. So we've got our teas and coffees in hand. Yes, we've got a little bit of caffeine beverages here to enjoy.
Look at that unicorn of a coffee cup. My word, that is quite
Yes.
something.
Yes, and it turns rainbow when you put a hot beverage in it. So it's a little bit of fun, this one.
You know what? That pairs really well with you. That would look really weird with me. So I'm glad you have that one, not me, because it's a special unicorn kind of a teacup. I can tell you right now, that's the kind of teacup that would work really well with the female gender. Not so much for the dudes. Just saying, that's kind of weird. But anyway.
That's
glad
right.
we could rock our teacups here. And if you're not careful, you might turn me into a unicorn. So be careful with that teacup.
Well, we're going to have a one-of-a-kind chat today. So it needed a one-of-a-kind cup. So there it is.
There we go. Fireside with the unicorn. Here we go.
You got it. So today, guys, we're actually going to have a little bit of a fun chat today. I thought, I was having a chat with Doren the other day and I said, why don't we have a little bit of like a real talk, So we thought that we would have some real talk about what's working right now in the mortgage industry. And I thought, who better to ask than Doren Aldana? He has been in the industry for 2 decades, taking a beating from all of us mortgage pros. And I thought, why don't we pick his brain a little bit? He's worked with so many mortgage professionals on both sides of the border for so many years. And I thought, why don't we ask him and pick his brain after he's talked to so many different mortgage professionals and find out, what's working. And so I thought, why don't we just dive into it? So does that sound good to you, Doren?
Sounds great. I can't wait to hear what we're going to talk about. I'm sure it's going to be good, but I can't wait to hear what we're going to unleash from the bowels of 20 plus years of experience. And of course, there's lots of new, fresh stuff that we're getting fresh, new distinction and clarity on as of late. 2.5, 3 years of being in this so-called tough market. We've collected a lot of data, a lot of insight, what's working, what's not. So excited to share it with our audience today.
Beautiful. Perfect. So I think before we jump into, what is working, why don't we start talking a little bit about what's not working? So, I think it's always a good idea for us to learn really well. I think it's a good idea for us to highlight some of the things, that aren't working, right? There's a lot of landmines out there. So let's talk about what's not working. What are you seeing mortgage pros kind of stepping in right now? What are they wasting time doing? That's costing them money, costing them time. What are some of the things that are just costing them, causing them to work harder, costing them more money? They're just working harder for less money. What are some of the things that you're seeing right now amongst mortgage pros?
Well, it's interesting as you were framing the question, I don't know if you intentionally meant to say it or not, but you said, what are they stepping in? I just thought of a big pile of poop, right? A big stinky pile of poop. And if you've ever stepped into a big pile of poop, and chances are you have, it's nasty, it's stinky, it's disgusting, and you want to get it off your shoe ASAP like yesterday, right? Well, that's the conspicuous nature of stepping in poo and knowing you're stepping in poo. What's worse than that, if you don't have the sense of smell, let's just say you got a nasty dose of COVID, you can't smell anymore. Supposedly that's one of the symptoms. I don't know, because I got COVID and I just had a nasty cough for a month. I didn't get that varietal, but I hear that's one of the symptoms. So let's go with that for a moment. You got no sense of smell. You step on a big pile of poop and you have no idea, and you're tracking that everywhere, right? It's costing you. It's costing you wherever you track, it's costing you. And certainly anyone who has to clean up after you, it's costing them too, right? So,
Exactly.
let's go with that, because a lot of people, unfortunately, in this business, they just don't know what they don't know. So they stepped in a big pile of stinky, you know what, and they don't know that it's costing them. And one of the things that I believe is of most value to our audience is not just the things that they already know, but the things they don't know that they don't know that they don't know, that's costing them daily. And so I'm just going to illuminate a few of those things I've noticed that are definitely in that domain of costly, stinky, nasty expense that will probably cause some symptoms. The symptoms that come with doing it the hard way, the wrong way, are things like stagnation, regression, having too much month at the end of the money, I can't afford a prison, the uncertainty, the worry about the future, feeling like a victim of the market, feeling like you're in the driver's seat, or rather the passenger seat rather than the driver's seat, not feeling like you're in control of your pipeline and your future, worried about where that next deal is going to come from, et cetera, right?
That's a big one. Yeah.
I call it the downward cycle of suck, right? And all of it really is inextricably linked with not knowing how to structure your day for maximum productivity, not knowing what works in today's market, such that they're working on a playbook from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It might have worked great back then, but it's hit the point of diminishing returns a long time ago. Things like going to open houses. No top producing realtors go to open houses anymore. They get their underlings to do it, who've been in the business for like 6 months.
Right.
They get the lackeys to do that stuff. So you're wasting your time battling through traffic to hang out with a bunch of lackeys that have no business to send you. Yeah, it's better than twiddling your thumbs at home waiting for the phone to ring, but not much better. Yes. It's a bit like trying to fill the swimming pool with a squirt gun versus using the fire hose, right? That's doing it the hard way. Another common pile of poop that mortgage pros step into unwittingly that costs them a lot of wasted time, energy, and money is buying crappy internet leads that give them the sense, this dopamine hit of, hey, I'm talking to people, right? It gives them the sense, hey, I'm splashing around the ocean. I must be going somewhere. I don't know if you've ever been in an ocean current where and it can be scary, right? You get that undertow, you get that current, and you're paddling, but you're not going anywhere. You're actually going backwards. That can be very scary. And it's especially scary when you don't realize it for a while and you're getting towed out. You're getting towed away, right? So we want you guys paddling powerfully towards Paradise Island, not just splashing around the ocean, going nowhere or going backwards. And buying crappy internet leads, you're lucky if you close 1 out of 100. Like, that's definitely doing it the hard way. Plus, you're jacking up your credit card with a bunch of expense, whether it be paying for a pay-per-click on Facebook, Instagram, etc., or just paying someone else to buy the leads for you. Oftentimes, they're shared with multiple different companies, and you're competing against all these other companies for the same lead. They won't give you the time of day. If they do, they're like, Billy Bob living in mama's basement at age 35, who can hardly hold down a job, can hardly put 2 pennies to rub together. There's no way they're even remotely close to the level to qualify for a mortgage. That's all doing it the hard way. Another example is like cold calling the same 40 realtors every Monday, right? You hear that from these Sergeant Slaughter, so-called mortgage coaches out there. And they're like, beat the phones, call these realtors, let them know you're available, ask them how their weekend went, ask them, do you got any pre-approvals for me? You got any buyers I could help with? It's like snoozeville, their eyes are rolling in the back of their head. It's like, seriously, you got to be kidding me. This is so, do you not have something more meaningful, valuable to me than just asking how my weekend went for real. And that's what a lot of these so-called cutting edge mortgage coaches are telling people to do, right?
Yes.
That's definitely stepping in a big pile of poop. You're going to show up as a stinky, unwelcome guest, an annoying pest versus the welcome guest if you do that. Another great way to waste your time and step in a big pile of poop is just be another heartbeat and another pulse at a networking event, just a general networking event. You're showing up because you feel like you have to. It's a Chamber of Commerce event or it's a BNI event. And you're like, Doren, what are you talking about? That's a totally great use of my time. I get leads from that sometimes, to which I would say, yeah, but how much time are you spending? How much nasty powdered eggs do you have to endure for one pre-approval, let alone actual closed deal, right? How many times do you have to get up at 6 a.m. to go to a 7 o'clock meeting, to eat powdered eggs, to talk to a bunch of people you don't really like, and they give you a bunch of faux crappy leads because they want to look good in front of the group. But at the end of the day, when everything settles, it's like, how many of those are actually converting? Very, very few. Then you tack on your BNI dues or whatever your membership dues are. And then you tack on all of the trouble and struggle of commuting, battling through traffic, paying for fuel, and all the rest. Is like, how much are you actually earning per hour from all the blood, sweat, and tears involved with that? That's definitely doing it the hard way. And most of these people, right? And most of them are not high caliber, high quality, high capacity referral partners. Like, how many motivated buyers are they in communication with on a daily basis? Very few. Maybe you have one realtor in the group and you're lucky if you even get that one realtor to make you their go-to. But you think they're going to make you their go-to just because they're in the same group and they own the exclusive category of realtor and you own the exclusive category of mortgage pro. And now you think that they're obligated to refer you. And now you're pissed or frustrated or annoyed that they haven't made you their go-to. Well, welcome to networking. Generally, that's how it works because it's not strategic. You're just basically throwing seeds into the wind and hoping it lands on fertile soil, right?
Great.
Just like spraying and praying. There's no strategy involved.
Not at all.
So that's a big pile of poop you want to avoid. Now, I could keep going all day long, but those are probably the biggest ones I see time and time again. Another big one more, just for good measure.
One more.
Posting on social media 10 times a day. Like, oh, I need to be on YouTube. I need to be on Instagram. I need to do all these videos. And yeah, it's good to have a presence. It's good to have a strong digital profile. It's good to have eyeballs on your stuff and build your brand online. I'm not saying that that's not good, but how much time are you spending on that? And how many videos and, twerkle dances on whatever these stupid, TikTok? How many different videos? Obviously, you're not going to do twerkles, but you get the idea, right? How many videos do you need to put out before you realize that that's not a high leverage activity? Yes, you're going to get business over time, and it's like a crock pot. It's going to take some time to nurture and to make it delicious and tasty and worthwhile for you. It might take years. Do you really want to count on your ability to pay your mortgage and feed your family and send your kids to college on something that's a long-term crockpot strategy? I don't think so. I think that's a great thing to do with the anticipation for some good stuff to come somewhere in the future. And you do it not for the immediate benefit, but you do it because you want to continue to send a message out there that is an extension of your heart, your mind, your soul, your passion, your purpose for why you're in business and the impact you want to make in the marketplace. And the leadership, the thought leadership you want to extend into the marketplace when it comes to your digital presence being an extension of you. It should be for that. It should be your authentic voice of what you want to put out there, regardless of how many clicks and how many shares and how many comments you're getting, because it's who you are. And of course, we want it to land and we want it to get traction. We want to get maximum impact from it. But at the end of the day, if you are expecting an immediate or a measurable result from that, I think that's pretty naive at best and an erroneous assumption that will cause you to be very frustrated and have a sense of empty promises that don't deliver at worst. And at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you are taking the elevator to your income goals versus grinding up a 100-story staircase with a 50-pound backpack, doing it the hard way. Because why settle for a slow crockpot method unnecessarily when it comes to what gives you certainty, control, and driver's seat power to push the needle on profit and performance in your pipeline? Why settle for hope? Hope is great if you're in prison, right? But it doesn't make for a very good marketing strategy, does it? We don't want you smoking the hope dope. We don't want you hoping, we want you knowing. And I suggest social media. The main purpose of social media is so that when potential prospects or partners look you up because they're going to cyber snoop you, they look at your stuff and they say, wow, this guy, this gal's legit. They got a solid online presence. They got some great content. They got great branding. Everything looks professional. I can trust them. That should be the main reason why you're doing all this, not so that you're getting a certain amount of likes or a certain amount of comments or a certain amount of applications, although all that's wonderful. But chances are you're not going to be able to pay your mortgage or buy a 5-star cruise to the Bahamas by just getting a bunch of likes and comments. You're going to get it from having tangible quality borrowers in your pipeline. And chances are those aren't going to come from having a big following on social media. They might, but you're going to be the rare exception if that's the case. I suggest a much more expedient path. We liken it to using the proverbial fire hose to fill the swimming pool versus the squirt gun. Right? Squirt gun is not going to get you where you want to be. And stepping in those big stinky piles will get you continuing to using the squirt gun. So whatever you do, make sure you avoid those big stinky piles.
Okay. So that was tons of information. So what I'm gathering from that is we don't want to stay stuck on the struggle bus, because a lot of those things are being stuck on the struggle bus. And a lot of those tactics are also squirting from a squirt gun. And you mentioned the fire hose. So let's talk about the fire hose. So what should the mortgage pros be doing? Because we did talk here about all the things that people shouldn't be doing. So what should they be doing? What is working right now? What are some of the things that you're noticing the pros that you help are doing? What are some of those things that they're doing that are having some massive impact? They're giving them results right now.
It's a great question. We just had an awesome interview with a $1 billion team just on the last podcast. You're definitely going to want to check it out. Michelle and Anthony from Sherwood Mortgage have this thriving mortgage brokerage. They do over $1 billion a year. And Anthony aptly said, the old is the new. The old is the new. In other words, everyone's chasing these bright, shiny objects to the neglect of the good old faithful that consistently works regardless of rates, inventory, competition. It's the good old faithful that keeps cranking out results. This is coming from a guy that's built a $1 billion plus per year mortgage brokerage. Like, this guy knows what he's talking about. You might call him old school, but hey, he's taking that old school to the bank all day, every day, right? Yep. So the proof is in the pudding. Success leaves clues. So as I share this quick laundry list of what's working now, I want you to keep in mind a lot of these things, you're going to probably be like, Doren, seriously? That's totally old school. You're going to get me to do dinosaur methods like that for real? Like, I thought that was old hat. To which I would say the old is now the new, because most of your competitors are twerking on TikTok and they're doing all this fancy stuff with fancy funnels and all this online fancy stuff. And it looks glitzy and glamour on the outside, but in the inside, most of that is just outside glitz. There's no real guts. There's no real green. There's no real consistent growth. And we want the consistent growth at the end of the day. All the other stuff really doesn't matter. It's just hollow. We want to make sure you guys are consistently growing regardless of the market, the rates, the inventory. And the single most important habit, the single most important tactic that we found to be the good old faithful, regardless of the market, over the last 2.5 years with relatively high rates and low inventory, with most mortgage pros being in a regressionary stagnation position. a lot of mortgage pros leaving the business. There's been an absolute exodus of mortgage pros to the tens of thousands over the last 2.5 years, dropping like flies. So, if you've been in the business for more than a day, it's been a tough market. Well, this is the one tactic that we see as the golden thread woven amongst almost all of the top producers that are still crushing it, still making freedom money, still growing, still making surgeon money, in spite of the fact that their competitors are dropping like flies. Are you guys ready for this? Are you ready?
This is one of my favorites.
It's very simple. An hour of power. An hour of power before you start managing your pipeline, an hour of power before you get sucked into the vortex of putting out fires, an hour of power before you get into, being Mr. Problem Solver or Mrs. Problem Solver and getting into the weeds of pipeline management and loan level issues and all that stuff. Because have you ever noticed when you're problem solving, when you've got your fireman cap on, you don't really feel the energetic frequency of showing up in your power to cultivate relationships with realtors or other referral sources? Have you noticed that when you're in that fireman mode, you tend not to be in a frequency of attraction mode, right? It's a very different frequency. One is like, okay, let's solve problems. Another one's like, hey, nice to meet you. Tell me about what you're wanting to accomplish. Let's see if we have the right fit to work together. There's a very different frequency energetically. And so what I've noticed to be exceedingly effective is not only to have that hour of power as a mandatory must every day, where you're reaching out to, for example, top producing realtors versus the bottom feeders, because those are the ones who can send you 1, 2, 3 deals a month versus 1, 2, 3 deals a year, right? Which one's going to have the most juice with the same amount of squeeze? Or even if it does take a little more squeeze, if it gives you 3x, 5x the return, doesn't it make sense to go after the higher producers? You got to be knowing it does. And of course, that's a big reason why smart, ambitious, growth-minded mortgage pros hire us in mortgagemarketingcoach.com, because we give them the secret sauce on how to do the dance such that they become very compelling, very, shall we say, the word isn't necessarily compelling. I think it's a better word. The word is like irresistible. If you have a buyer or a seller, for example, and you go after a top producing realtor, it's not just about being compelling anymore. It's about being irresistible, right? It's like, hey, if it's not you, it's going to be one of your competitors. Do you want to have a talk about whether or not we're the right fit to bring you buyers and sellers, to bring you this buyer or the seller, or should I look elsewhere? I'm cool either way. I'm looking for a 5-star, top-notch, excellent, dust on top of outstanding realtor to refer my clientele to. I'd like to have a conversation with you because you're one of my top candidates, but I'm not attached. Do you want to have a conversation? If so, let's chat. If not, next. Someone's waiting. I got a list. I got a pretty significant list of top producing realtors that deliver 5-star service to their clientele. And I'm just looking for that one who has the privilege, right? Now, obviously, you're looking for more than just one, but notice how it's exclusive. Notice how it's value driven, where you're bringing business versus taking business. And notice how you're cool as a cucumber regardless. So the hour of power for that practice of building your dream team of top producing realtors, and you do that consistently. It's not going to change your life in a day, but it will change your life daily if you do it daily, because it compounds, right? If you book 3 appointments a week, that's not going to change your life. You might land one partner from that, but you do 3 appointments a week, and you do that for 4 weeks in a row in a month. I went to public school. I need a calculator, but I figure that's probably somewhere around 12 appointments for the month, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Penny, but I think my public school math is actually right this time. Is that true?
Think so.
Right. So there we go. Right. So 3 times 4, 12. So now you have 12 meetings. Even if you only convert 30% of those, that's still 4 partners, right?
Yes.
And even if 2 of those actually make you their go-to and they send you a deal a month, think about that. If you're making 3 G's a deal and they're sending you a deal a month, then you're adding an extra $6,000 a month to your reoccurring revenue with the best caliber partners, with the best caliber borrowers, just from booking 3 appointments a week. You can see how You do that consistently, week in, week out, month in, month out. You do that for 10 months straight. That's $60,000 in additional revenue per month, compounding, right? Because it's not like they drop you like a hot potato. If you're providing real value, which is what we teach our clients how to do to make themselves irreplaceable and indispensable to these top producing realtors, they stick to you like super glue. They go into spontaneous convulsions at the mere thought of not working with you because of the value you bring. No one else compares. Once they get a taste of great, they're never going to want to settle for good, right? And so think about that. You do that for a full year consistently, you're approaching a 7-figure business. But, most people overestimate what they can do a week and in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year because they don't understand the compounding effect of a simple discipline like the hour of power. Is that making sense, Penny?
That's fantastic. Yeah. The compounding effect is it's one of those incredible things, that we often, underestimate. Is it underestimate? Yes. Underestimate, right? It's a tremendously powerful thing. So yeah.
Absolutely. And, case in point, one of our clients who was literally so despondent, so depressed, so deflated because she was making champion money, 7-figure, badass money in the heyday during the pandemic. And all of a sudden things fizzled out as soon as rates went up and her refi and repeat business and her referral business just dried up. She'd been in the business for a while. She's used to just crushing it, just kicking ass, taking names, chewing bubblegum and crushing it. And she was so despondent. She was literally reading fiction novels to escape because she didn't have any locus for control. She didn't know what buttons to push, what levers to pull. So she just pulled out her book and just escaped into this fantasy world. But she knew that was just coping. It was a Band-Aid when she needed surgery. So she reached out to us for help. She walked into our proven system with our proprietary realtor attraction campaign. And literally within the first 2 months of using that system, she landed 30 solid partners, or rather, she booked 30 appointments. Out of those 30 appointments, she landed 16 partners. Out of those 16 partners who were sending her consistent business, she brought in almost $5 million in reoccurring revenue from those 16 partners. You do the math on that at approximately 100 basis points, she's adding an extra 40,000 plus to her monthly revenue just from those 16 partners. And that was all done in the first 2 months. That's the power of the hour of power. That's the power of it, guys. Another example is Ben Davis. Ben Davis, he was on the struggle bus doing 1-2 deals a month. He was wondering, am I going to have to send the wife back to work? Rates were going up, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear, too much month at the end of the money. He hired us to help him solve this problem and figure out how he can actually start to structure his day for consistent productivity instead of just pushing paper on his desk, hoping that the rates go down and business starts to go back to where it was. And he started doing this hour of power. And he consistently booked appointments with these top producing realtors and landed maybe about 30% of these appointments into partners. He got about 12 solid partners, and he's been making surgeon money over $250,000 per year in the face of one of the toughest markets this industry's ever seen. And he's seen growth. In fact, he can't handle any more business. He has to actually build a dream team in operations, and he's considering also building a dream team in sales so he can handle more business because he doesn't want to sacrifice time away from his family in the toughest market he's ever seen in his entire career. That's the power of the hour of power. So hopefully I've got you guys convinced that this system definitely works when you work it. The problem is most mortgage pros just don't know how to do this stuff. And so they kind of stay stuck in this spinning their wheels, chasing the bright, shiny objects. And so for you guys, I would definitely recommend, if you're like, man, I need to do my hour of power. I want to do an hour of power, but I just don't know how to do it. Stay tuned, because we're going to give you an opportunity to get plugged in with us, where we can lead you to the promised land with our proprietary system, where you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Because if you had noticed by now, reinventing the wheel tends not to pay very well. You could just stick your key in the ignition and drive away. If we decide we're a good fit to work together and help you take your business to the next level thrive in 2025, if that's your goal, we can help you do that and double, triple your income in the next 12 months or less, just by adding that one component, guys, that one component of the hour of power, and knowing how to attract versus chase. So you're the welcome guest versus the annoying pest, and get these top producing realtors eating out of your hand. So that being said, that's probably the most important one. There's other ones I'd recommend, but I don't know how much time we want to spend on them. So I'll give you like just a quick sprinkling of the other ones. Another key that I would recommend is, if you're spending a lot of time on social media, start to delegate it. You can get a virtual assistant, you can get a graphic designer, you can get a social media content manager. Get people to give you a lot of the heavy lifting so you don't have to do it yourself, whether it be graphic design, video editing, video posting. A lot of that stuff can be delegated. You should not be spending a whole lot of time with your social media, maybe 2 hours a week at the maximum. So don't put too much stock in that in terms of your manual human effort. You should spend way more time working with, meeting with, cultivating relations with top producing realtors. You'll get way more juice with way less squeeze doing that. Another key thing that I recommend you do, and if you're not doing it, you're leaving a lot of money on the table, is have a system to put your reputation building, especially on Google, on autopilot. So every time you close a deal, you should have a CRM that automatically follows up with a client, thanks them for the opportunity to work with them, and ask for a review. And most importantly, on Google. If you're getting on Zillow or Yellow Pages or Facebook, frankly, none of that really matters. What matters is Google. That's the 8,000-pound gorilla in the space. If you're not getting Google reviews, you're leaving a lot of meat on the bone, a lot of juice in the fruit, and a lot of money on the table to your competitors. Because as you build that up, you're getting a passive stream of some of the best quality leads online, straight from Google, hot for what you got, pre-sold on you before they even talk to you. And then it sets you up for the next strategy, which is taking your rave reviews and turning them into referrals, right? Because think about it. Who better to send you a referral than somebody who just gave you a 5-star review? Are you guys with me, right? There's no better source of referrals than that. So turning rave reviews into referrals is another really powerful strategy that's always going to work. I don't care what the economy is doing, what inflation's doing, how much inventory is out there. It's always going to work. People are going to keep getting into the market, moving up in the market, getting married, getting divorced, and dying. And all those require transactions, right? So they might as well have your name on them. And that's one of the ways to do that. And then the last thing is make sure you have a CRM and use it. Like I have a guy, he's been in the business for 5 years. I was just talking to him yesterday. He just enrolled on Plan to Prosper with us yesterday. He's been in the business for 5 years. He's been full-time for 1 year, part-time for the first 4 years. He did 31 million last year, and he's rocking an Excel spreadsheet. I kid you not. Like no CRM. The guy's leaving a ton of money on the table, right?
Wow.
And he just has no idea. Like he's stepping in that poop every day, causing hundreds of thousands of dollars to be left on the table to his competitors instead of being able to, stock the coffers to feed his family and pay for his kids' college tuition, all because he just doesn't know that he doesn't know.
Wow.
But I mean, the amount of hemorrhage there is absolutely enormous. You guys should be sending a email once a week with some kind of tip, some kind of value. I recommend video. We have a done for you video marketing service, which puts it all on autopilot. You don't have to mess with it. Everything custom branded. And it just sends out a little tip on financial literacy, home maintenance, mortgage, real estate tips, just something to stay top of mind. I definitely recommend considering a newsletter. I know it sounds old hat, but just a good old faithful, the old is the new newsletter once a month, ideally by direct mail, but if nothing else by email, just to, again, stay in front of people. You can repurpose the same content you're sending weekly into your newsletter. So consider repurposing the same parts of the pig in different formats, the same media, a different media type, but same content. That's another great way to save yourself some time. And then, of course, if you have dead leads, consider using a dead lead resurrection campaign. You can convert maybe 2 to 3 out of 100 into re-engaged, recommitted, hot for what you got pre-approvals, out shopping that you can dish to your VIP partners, your realtor partners, because you're the one generating the lead which makes you look good, right? And that activates the law of reciprocity to work in your favor. So dead lead resurrection campaign, post-closing gifts, like a gift basket to the workplace with a big plume of helium balloons. Guess who they're going to be talking about all day long? Add your realtor's name on it. Guess who is going to absolutely love you and think of you as their hero? Your realtor, right? So things like that. How do you do all that stuff? You need a CRM. And what it does is it sets up pipelines and triggers and automations and text messages and emails and tasks and notifies team members even to do this and do that and follow this playbook and, use this protocol. I don't know how people do it, Penny, without a CRM. It's like, this is the 21st
Dinosaur
century.
methods.
Right? It's like they're operating from the dark ages. So having a CRM, staying in front of that database is mission critical as you build it. That's your biggest asset, guys. You want to sell your business for a good chunk of dough down the line. You're not going to be able to sell it for jack squat if you don't have a CRM that's consistently churning out repeat referral business and rave reviews that all generate revenue, predictable, consistent revenue. That consistent revenue that is being garnered through automation is a saleable asset, guys. So if you don't want to just be the proverbial guinea pig on easy for me to say. Take another sip of tea there, Doren. Breathe. Come on now. If you don't want to be the proverbial guinea pig on the guinea pig wheel, and you don't want to just consistently have to look where that next deal is going to come from, you definitely want to work your CRM. Your CRM is your best friend. And you're wondering, well, what CRM should I use, Doren? The CRM you use. The CRM you use is the best
Absolutely.
CRM. We use one called Synergy, which is a white labeled version of Go High Level, which is awesome. It's got all the different automations and triggers and pipelines and you name it, it does it. But keep in mind, the best CRM is one you use. Back to you, Penny.
Beautiful. Well, I absolutely love these tips that you're sharing here, Doren. Honestly, what I'm gathering from all of these tips that you're giving here is that, what's old is new, like you absolutely said there. The hour of power is taking the top of the list here, which is absolutely fabulous. But I'm also seeing too that, taking things off your desk by, as you mentioned there, delegating. So delegating things like your social media is really important. The reputation management, super, super important. And, when you find out clients that love you, that are giving you those 5-star reviews, why wouldn't you want to talk to them and get referrals from them? Of course. And then also, finally, the CRM management. If you've worked so hard to get a client, of course, you want to keep them. So stay in touch with them, right? Those are fabulous tips. And so you've summarized them so much better than I have. But, those are some of my favorite things there, and building those systems out. And I think a lot of mortgage professionals, we're all just, we're working so hard to bring those deals in and process them and all those things. But building those systems out, that's how you really build a good winning business. And that's something I really love about what you build here is you show people how to build those systems and really build a winning mortgage business. And I think that's so, so important. With that being said, success leaves clues. So what's the number one trait that separates a top 1% income earner from all the rest?
Ooh, that is a loaded question, isn't it? That is a loaded question. I mean, one of our faculty members is in the Scotsman Guide year after year after year, Coach Pete. And, he's been certainly an example worthy of emulation in terms of how he runs his business. And I've noticed that some of the traits he has are very much a common trend among the highest producing, top producing realtors from coast to coast, whether it be in Canada or the US. And as I think about the answer to that question, I have to boil it down to one thing because I can't really think of anything else that even gets close. This is by far the most preeminent, the most significant, the most game-changing trait that is absolutely baked into the heart, mind, and soul of every single top producer I've had the privilege of working with. And it is that growth mindset. You've heard of growth mindset, and you might feel like, well, that's nothing new, Doren. I've already heard of that. You got to be focusing on growing. You got to be positive. You need to be upbeat. You need to, roll with the punches when you have setbacks. You need to see yourself as pliable and moldable. And yeah, that's great. That's a great recap on growth mindset, but there's something deeper there. There's something deeper. One of the things I notice about the growth mindset, yes, they are certainly never too cool for school. They're hungry for growth. They're always wanting to learn. They stay humble. They're thirsty and hungry for wisdom and skill and knowledge. And they turn so-called setbacks into set-ups by discovering, what can I learn from this? What new distinction? It's like the failing forward mantra, right? Fail forward fast. So they certainly have all of that. But in addition to that, I feel that there's a finer distinction where they really understand the compounding effect of sharpening their skill and building mastery muscle, especially when it comes to lead generation, when it comes to generating not just quantity of leads, but quality of leads. And when it comes to building a dream team and systems and policy, procedure, protocol. So they're building a real business versus just a glorified job, trading time for money, where, they're building a you-based business versus a systems and team-based business. If you just have a you-based business, then if you're sick, your business falls apart. If you don't show up, your business falls apart. So they have a growth mindset, but they have a growth mindset when it comes to understanding the skill sets that they need to become masters in. They don't pursue dabbling. They pursue mastery in the business acumen of lead generation, team building, automation, systems, like all the essentials of entrepreneurship 101. They're business people, and then they're hungry for growth. They're hungry to learn, and they're always sharpening their skills. It reminds me of a great story. It's the tale of the two lumberjacks. And I have a terrible memory, so I'm just going to narrate it for you with my notes. Into the depths of a dark forest, there once lived two strong lumberjacks. The first lumberjack worked nonstop all day. He loved the sound of his axe against the wood, the smell of the oak trees, the feeling of the sweat dripping down his forehead, the blood dripping down his hands at the end of the day when he finally could get some rest at home. He always chopped 10 trees a day, which made him feel proud and powerful. The second lumberjack worked very hard as well, stopped once in a while and took some breaks, listened to the birds, cut some flowers. He rested his arms. He ate some lunch. Then he would continue to chop more wood. He went home early with no blood, some sweat, but no blood. He personally set a target daily for 15 trees a day, which again made him feel powerful and proud, just like the first lumberjack. One night after a long day of work, the first lumberjack passed by the house of the second lumberjack. He was astonished to count 15 trees on his friend's front yard. Confused and confounded, he called out to his friend and asked, "How can this be, man? I know you take a rest every hour. I've been watching you. I work way longer and way harder. I work continuously all through the day. Look at the blood on my hands. There's no possible way you can chop more wood than me. What's your secret? You must be cheating. Who did you smuggle into your cabin who's doing some chopping for you?" The second lumberjack turned to him and said, "You're right, old friend. Every hour I take a break to rest, eat, and sharpen my axe." He's sharpening his axe every hour, while the other guy's whacking, and making his axe duller and duller and duller, which is causing him to have to work longer and harder for less. He wisely takes time to sharpen his axe. That's the growth mindset. understanding it's not how hard you work, it's how smart you work. It's about working smarter, not harder. Isn't that a cool story?
That is incredible. And so smart. There's so much power in that story. There really is. Wow.
No blood
So,
required.
yeah, no kidding. So I want to be like the second Axeman. So tell me, how can other mortgage pros be like the second Jack? How can they be like that and get results like him?
Well, chances are they already are that to some degree because they're listening right now. That means they're investing in their own personal professional development. They understand the importance of it. Maybe they're redeeming their commute while they're driving in their car, turning their vehicle into a university on wheels. That's a great way to do it. Maybe they're doing some learn and burn at the gym, listening to us while they're in the gym, hitting two birds, one stone, no extra time needed. While their hands are busy, their mind is free to absorb information, education, and hopefully get some transformation by virtue of this information, right? So all those things you're probably already doing. I would just say up the ante and focus on mastery. Focus on mastery versus dabbling. And then there's richer sources, right? If we just tune into YouTube and podcasts, you're going to get like the 101 level of mastery. If you want to learn how to do anything, there's a certain level that you're going to start to cap out at if you're only listening to free stuff online, because the free stuff only goes so far. Now, the cool thing is, though, we're kind of different in that I got instigated by the one and only Penny Riley, my co-host on this podcast, with a crazy idea that we'd never done before that breaks that mold entirely. Because she had this crazy idea, this audacious idea to deliver the kind of value we would provide to someone who's paying us big bucks for our high-level programs, but to give it away for free on a new platform called School. And not only is it just like one session, and that would be enough just to have one session like that, but she was audacious enough, crazy enough, bold enough to say, Doren, I want you to do 3 sessions. Let's call it 3 days to thrive. And let's teach people how to build a thriving 6 to 7 figure mortgage business, all by referral, regardless of rates, inventory, competition, without any cold calling. And I want you to pull out all the stops and give them the stuff as if they're paying big bucks to show up to this course. And at first I was like, do you realize that I'm already crazy busy? Like, I really don't have the bandwidth for this, Penny. But the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? That is a really, really, really great way to make an impact, to be able to just give away some of our best stuff and give people an experience of what it's like to be on Planet Prosper before they launch on Planet Prosper. Give them a little taste of the good stuff, so that it's going to be a no-brainer for them to want to advance to the black belt level stuff that we have on the other side when they really launch on Planet Prosper. So if you guys have never used School, it's amazing. It's a free app, and you can get access to amazing recordings that we've already done. We've already got 2 of the 3 sessions in the can in School. When you search Mortgage Marketing Coach, you'll find it. But we're also delivering the 3rd one next week as of this live recording. By the time you get the recorded version of this, it may already be in there. Chances are it will. By the 1st week in December, the 2nd week in December, we're going to have all 3 of these sessions in there. It's going to teach you how to differentiate yourself so you become irreplaceable and indispensable to top producing realtors. It's going to teach you how to have a killer, kick-ass, unique value proposition that has you be the welcome guest, not the annoying pest. It's going to teach you how to be in the power position so you hold the cookie. No more groveling and butt kissing. They need you more than you need them. How's that for flipping the script, right? Game changer. Some of you might be like, Doren, that sounds amazing, but that sounds like too good to be true. To which I would say, you're right. If you keep doing it the way you're doing it the hard way, it is too good to be true. But I can promise you, once you go through this course, you'll know it to be true. It's going to blow your mind with a lot of non-conventional wisdom. It's going to go against the grain of conventional wisdom, and it's going to open your eyes to a whole new world of what it really takes to win in any market, not just a fair weather market. So if that sounds good to you, and it definitely should, check us out. Download the app Skool, Skool, and look for us on Skool. You can search for different memberships. The community you want to search for is Mortgage Marketing Coach. Very simple. You'll find us. It's 100% free. The 3-day course is free. And here, just in case you thought like that's already too good to be true, it gets better. We're also going to give you a live masterclass every week on Wednesday, wonderful Wednesdays, where we're going to unpack different aspects of what you really need to know to thrive, not just survive, to win in any market, not just a fair weather market, whether it be overcoming common realtor objections, like I already have a lender, thanks, but no thanks, I'm not interested, all those buyer defense mechanisms and smoke screens, whether it be things like how to mine the gold from your database, maximize repeat and referral business, whether it be things like how to structure your day for maximum productivity, how to use new technology like AI to generate more high quality partners, high quality borrowers, and mine the gold from your database, all that good stuff. So again, come join the party. It's on, it's happening at Skool. And all you need to do is search us up on Skool, Mortgage Marketing Coach. Come join the party. And the crowd goes wild.
This is some exciting stuff, Doren. I am super pumped for this one.
Absolutely. And thank you, Penny, for being the instigator. You are always such a positive instigator, not the negative varietal, the positive varietal. Well, I guess the negative varietal is I'm busting my buns lately, working overtime to keep up with you. But that's been a good thing. You know, the saying goes, that there's no growth inside of your comfort zone. All growth is outside of your comfort zone. Comfort zone and growth do not coexist. So thank you for helping me to lead by example in that respect. You're pushing me out of the comfort zone every day by your instigation and inspiration. And I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be blessed as a result. So thank you for being the spark that's been catching me ablaze to be on purpose, with purpose, to serve our community at a higher level. You've been a game changer when it comes to that.
Wonderful. Well, I love it. I am also equally blessed because I'm also being pushed outside of my comfort zone too. So podcasts are brand new, all of these fun things. I'm absolutely enjoying it. I love sharing anything that I know with the mortgage community. It is so much fun, having an absolute blast.
Absolutely. And it's only going to get better. You know, we're just getting started. We ain't done. We've just begun. We're just scratching the surface of the surface. That being said, guys, if you're listening to this, you're watching this, you're like, man, I'm digging this. This is really powerful and valuable. I can't believe these guys give so much value for free like this. You haven't seen nothing yet, join Skool. We're going to take it to a whole other level. Mortgage Marketing Coach on Skool. Also, if you've not yet subscribed to our podcast, be sure to do that wherever you're getting the podcast. And if you dig it and you think we're deserving of a 5-star review, please do. It helps us to reach more awesome mortgage pros just like you. And also, if you're like, man, can you just hook me up with the keys to stick in the ignition to drive away with plug and play templates, tools, and the formula, the recipe for attracting these top dog realtors so I can go straight to what works and use the fire hose to fill the swimming pool versus the squirt gun? Like, I'm not into just messing around doing it the hard way. I want to take the elevator, press the P button, go straight to making penthouse money, prosperity money, not having to grind up the 100-story staircase with a 50-pound backpack, doing it the hard way. If that's you, I can relate. I'm right there with you. So I don't blame you one iota. And that's one of the reasons why we've put time in our calendar over the next week available for people like you who are in it to win it. So if you're a 100% commission residential mortgage pro, you make 70 basis points or higher in your comp plan, you want to add at least $100,000 plus to your income in the next 12 months, you want to thrive in 2025, you want to be like the second lumberjack who is working smarter versus just working harder by sharpening your axe, then I invite you to book a complimentary breakthrough call with either myself or one of my consultants. And we're just going to lift up the hood on your business. We're going to have an honest conversation. We're going to look at where you're at now, where you want to be. And if we can help you create a breakthrough by virtue of our proven system, we'll show you what that looks like. And if we decide to roll together, we'll launch you on Planet Prosper. And if not, if for whatever reason we're not the right fit or it's not the right timing, one thing I can promise you, you're going to leave with massive value, massive clarity. Chances are we're going to have some fun. So if that sounds good to you, go ahead and book a call at mortgagemarketingcoach.com/chat. That's mortgagemarketingcoach.com/chat. Penny, anything else we should talk about before we sign off today?
I feel like we've just filled everybody's brains with so much wonderful stuff. But all I know is I think there is probably a good group of people here that are definitely looking forward to being the second lumberjack. That's for sure. So thanks for sharpening our axe today, Doren.
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure the second lumberjack, raise your teacup again. Pretty sure the second lumberjack had a teacup like that. He was cutting flowers. He was sipping his tea. And he was just cool as a cucumber, cutting down logs left, right, and center, crushing it with a real razor sharp axe. And that's one of the reasons why he was the unicorn, kicking ass and crushing it. Not just because he sharpened his axe, but because he had a kick-ass teacup just like that. Just saying.
Like that.
That's worth a sip right there. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
The only problem is I flapped my lips so much I made my tea cold. So next time I got to put it on a warmer. Dude, you're flapping your lips too much. You got to keep your tea warm. Come on now. Keep your priorities straight.
Oh, man.
So with that said, guys, thanks for hanging with us. I want you guys to know that we're in your corner on your team to serve you to your dream. That's why we do what we do. Just remember, just like the metaphor, the story you heard today of the two lumberjacks, that the more we grow, the more our income grows, that our business is like a personal development course with a compensation plan attached. The more we grow, the more we sharpen our axe, the more our income grows. So don't just grow to that. Don't just go to that next level, rather grow to that next level. And we're here to support you to do that. So Penny, thank you so much. I've been here with the one and only Penny Wrightley, my co-host on this podcast. This is Doren Aldana coming at you from mortgagemarketingcoach.com. Looking forward to serving you guys to next level breakthroughs, next level growth as we continue on this journey together. Look forward